Legacy in Motion is brought to you by BinaPavo, your sustainability, our business. Sunway Business School, fortune favors the prepared mind.
Hi, welcome to Legacy in Motion. I am Dr. Jesrina.
And I'm Dr. Leilanie.
And today we have with us Ms. Geetha Kandiah from KASS International, the CEO of KASS International, and a good friend of mine. So Geetha, could you walk us through your journey into this world of IP and how you came to the helm of KASS? And was this always part of your plan?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jess, and thank you, Dr. Lei, for having me share my story. Thank you to BinaPavo and Sunway Business School as well for this opportunity. That's a very interesting question. For most part of my life, I wanted to study medicine. I felt that that is the career I wanted, and I'm a people person, and healing is a kind of a profession that you never wonder what is your purpose in life.
Yeah.
However, when I was 17, my mom was talking to me about career choice and how women in the medical field work long hours and won't have time for kids and family life, and said, why don't you think about law? It opens up a plethora of opportunities. And that discussion actually made me think a bit more, like, do I really want to be stuck in one direction and not being able to decide different avenues and take different opportunities if the time comes? And I decided to switch from many years of wanting to do medicine to then choose to do law. And it so happens while studying law in the UK, I enjoyed one specific subject, which is intellectual property law. Intellectual property law is pretty much what we see in a daily life. You see trademarks, you see brands, and you see technology, we use technology. So learning about everything around us and how we protect it was a really interesting and insightful subject for me. So when I discovered I liked IP as a subject during university, I reflected on the fact that my father is an IP lawyer in Malaysia, and this is his specialty. So I put two and two together and felt, if I like it among all the subjects in law, and Dad is specializing in it and running his own firm back home, why don't I get into this profession? So that was the initial click on deciding to do intellectual property as my career choice. Interestingly, one of the questions you had is, was that always part of the plan?
Yeah.
It was not his plan, and it was definitely not my plan.
Right.
I have two elder brothers. One also did law, and one chose to do medicine. We all thought that the one that chose law would eventually work with Dad and take over his firm. However, my eldest brother, even though he did law, preferred the exciting life of mergers and acquisitions. And eventually also moved to Singapore and settled down in Singapore. He worked in a law firm there in that area of law. So it was by chance, actually. Unexpectedly, the daughter in the family and the youngest in the family ended up working with Dad. And it was a good journey because the personality of my father, personality and character of my dad, and my personality, we just worked well together. And I think in many family businesses, that's very important, that flow is there.
Yes,
and we had that flow.
Yes.
All right. So, Geetha, what personal values guide your decision-making as a leader, especially within the context of a family-run business?
In leadership, I think it's a tricky situation, especially in a family-run business. Right. You walk into a family-run business and you really have to work very hard to earn your respect compared to any other business. I think with any other business, you earn your respect in a normal way. All employees are trying to climb the corporate ladder and you're showing your worth. But in a family-run business, you're already entering with everyone in that office or in that organization already thinking that you did not earn this place.
Right.
You just waltzed in and you're now very easy to climb up the ladder and jump to where the boss is sitting. So that experience of leadership, showing that I will earn my leadership, was there from a young age. It helped that my dad His name is actually very known in the intellectual property industry in Malaysia. You ask anyone about Mr. P. Kandiah in the legal fraternity,
Right.
everyone will say, oh, is that the IP lawyer Kandiah? So my father at my first entry into the field asked me to have Geetha K. Say, don't put Kandiah in the back of your name. So all my name cards had Miss Geetha K. And this is actually really funny, especially when you attend conferences.
Right.
Because everyone thinks you're trying to be weird with a K. like trying to be Lady Gaga with a interesting name there. And some, because of the brand is KASS, they'll call me, is it Geetha KASS?
Right.
So, but that start was great because he knew that he was known in the industry and he made his name. He wanted me to make my name. So make Geetha famous. Don't ride on the coattails of Kandiah. And that was pretty much 10, 15 years. And I pushed myself quite a bit, making sure I gave talks and did presentations. And when I give presentations, am I of that quality where people are engaged and want to listen to me? I was always pushing myself harder because I'm his daughter, because I needed to earn the respect. So leadership came in that trajectory. I felt the team could see that actually she's doing a lot. She's putting systems in place. She's going out, taking all the opportunities possible to speak, working the hours. I was the earliest in the office, last to leave, locking up in the early days before I started having children. But it was really earning the respect. And I feel leadership sometimes it's really not just about talking. It's not about a title. It's about walking the talk.
Right.
The position is nothing if you don't show that you actually earned the right to stand up there and lead. They want to see someone who they can actually take as a role model. So that was the experience I had.
Okay,
So,
lovely.
so it was more like you had to create your own name from the very beginning, and that was a value that stuck on you from the very beginning. That's really nice. And in this transition of stepping into the family business, did you have moments of doubt? Were there moments of resistance? And how did you overcome them?
Definitely. Same as the earlier explanation about earning respect, earning the trust of the team, and earning the right to be a leader. I definitely had doubts. Is this what my career is going to be? Am I going to be in intellectual property for the rest of my life? As much as I loved it, I did feel as though I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And when there was moments of doubt, actually very soon after joining Dad's firm, in that first year, I felt I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a businesswoman. IP is a service. It's not something that can grow fast and expand quickly. So I started to have a second job. I took up a job in Haagen-Dazs, which was very near the office. So 9 to 6, I worked in the law firm, in the IP boutique firm. And then 6 to 10, I worked in Haagen-Dazs, learning how to sell ice cream, what goes around behind the scenes of an ice cream retail business. As I had a business idea to start, actually it's a very famous chain in the US, Cold Stone.
Yes.
But I wanted to make a localized version of it. Right. Get the ice cream, and then Cold Stone's about putting ingredients, smashing it on Cold Stone, and then serving it to a customer. I wanted a business idea, and then using my brand, using my concept, my layout of design, and I felt working in Haagen-Dazs gives me the experience. So I worked in Haagen-Dazs for 2 months. Sadly, the only thing that happened is I got fat. I learned that being a salesperson is not much that you can learn. You have to then climb your way up to be the manager, to know what's going on in the back scenes.
Right.
Yeah, where do you get the ingredients? How does it come in? How do you then report? What's the systems for reporting? HR systems, business systems, and so on. So in those 2 months, there's not much I learned, apart from which flavor was selling really well.
Right.
Does it go with waffle or brownie first? Or how do I open the store and pack it up? So it was very important skills, but not managerial skills and not business skills behind the business. And that was a realization I felt. If I can put this many hours into the day, and have that much of passion, why don't I take this passion of opening my ice cream retail shop into KASS? I think that was a turning point for me. in the first year, I had a turning point of, hey, put this energy of building a business back into KASS.
Right. So this was your first year in KASS?
Yes, it was my first year in KASS.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, very young, very eager to try new things.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Jess.
All right, sure. So, how do you then balance preserving the legacy of your dad in KASS while also injecting your own vision and innovation into the business? And I know you've done a lot of things ever since you've taken from dad, and maybe you want to share that with us.
Thanks. I've been working with Dad since 2025. 2025 is this year, so obviously I can't be working. I've been working with Dad since 2005, sorry.
2005.
So it's 20 years ago. Yeah, that's right. So very soon I realized that he has a leadership quality that I admire, which is very peaceful in his communication, hardly raises his voice, very collaborative with the team. So that, and very transparent and very trusting. Everyone trusts him, knows that there's no funny business going on, which is something that I really value. And that I feel that that's his legacy of his leadership style. There's a high level of integrity in terms of sometimes when you're working with various government bodies, it's a lot of clients might say, can you speed up my trademark application? Can you speed up my patent application? Is there any way you can speed it up? And from day one, it was like, no, there's no way. Follow the books, buy the book, and be very rigid about it. And he's always done that. And that was very interesting because when you enter countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, we really still had to maintain integrity of there's no faster way to do anything. Go by the book, but push the examiners to examine the patent or their trademark rather quickly through the formal process. So he had communication style that I admired, that level of integrity. He also brought in a lot of hard work. Until now, everyone talks about how he walks and breathes and eats intellectual property rights. He used to work 9 to 6, come back to be with the kids, help out with mom at home, but also hit the books. He'll read everything about intellectual property. So he's a go-to guy on the subject, knows a lot of things by his fingertips, which was then also another push to myself and the team to know your subject really well, put in the hours to read all the newsletters, the journals, be abreast with what's happening, not just in Malaysia and Southeast Asia, but what's happening in cases in the US, cases in the UK. Because sometimes things move a lot faster and are tested a lot in courts in those jurisdictions in this area of law, which is a fast-moving area of law. So it was that hard work that I also embraced. So that was a lot for foundation in terms of coming in, seeing what he did. And when I joined, he started the firm in 1999, so I had joined about 6-7 years after the firm had started. And he was also in 2 other law firms prior to that. So he had about 30 years of being in the IP field, even though the firm was 7 years old when I started. But you could see there was wealth of foundation that he set up. And we would not have grown at all. We wouldn't have had the branding, the fame that he already brought. So when I came in, I felt I had to continue that and maintain that style of leadership and that amazing foundation that he had. But I brought in, I guess, being younger, you bring in systems, you see what else you can bring in technology, what softwares we need to use, how can we upgrade and work more efficiently, and where else can we expand. We were in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore when I had joined. And then we looked at Southeast Asia as a 700 million population, where is important in emerging markets that we need to venture into to ensure that our clients have intellectual property protected. So then I helped and worked with him to open markets in Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, Philippines. So we're in 7 countries now, but it was definitely his vision. He was already in 2 other countries.
Right. So you were taking on his vision and pursuing it forward. Yeah.
Geetha, if you don't mind me asking, how challenging was it to open up in other parts of, countries? I mean, like Philippines, I understand because they speak a lot of English there. So countries like perhaps Vietnam, so how do you navigate around that?
Yeah, we had our challenges. We definitely had our ups and downs. when we interview and find someone, we look at someone who's got many years of experience in another reputable intellectual property firm. So it's an intellectual property lawyer that comes with expertise. But honestly, having someone leave an established firm to join kind of like a startup in whichever country that we start out in is challenging. So that's where the interviews have to see whether their personality matches that role. Because you're not just coming in as an intellectual property lawyer. You're coming in as suddenly a HR person, a business development director. It's multiple hats in that position.
Yes.
And through the interview, you kind of discover whether do they have that passion? Do they feel like in their current firm, which is established, that they're stuck in a little hole, they've pigeonholed into just doing patents and trademarks? And do you have that character that I want to do more? I want to build your presence in this jurisdiction. And I can do it. I can meet local clients. I can meet foreign clients. I can deliver intellectual property talks passionately. So the role changes. And, it was a really interesting journey to see that many people feel they're stuck and they enjoy that opening of, I can do this, I can do this. I'm my own boss. To the large extent, they are their own boss.
Right.
And we give the support from KL. We have a marketing team, a sales team, our patent team and trademark team. So we do all the training and we encourage that entrepreneurial spirit to really flourish. And through interviews, you'll find that special person that wants to take that up.
Okay.
But so I say there's ups and downs. The downs, let me share some downs.
Yeah.
So for Thailand and Vietnam, we found a person at the same time. So we flew them, 2 country managers, into Malaysia for a week of training. At the end of the week of training, so we train on all parts of IP, or how do you run a team, HR, business development, reporting your accounting, maintaining your ledgers, and so on. At the end of 1 week, our Thai manager was very excited to go back and start the show. Our Vietnam manager was so overwhelmed and tendered her resignation.
Oh my! Okay.
So that was a shock to us, It was, oh, right. And going back to the team and telling this was our vision, we have hiccups, but we're not going to give up. It's just a slow down process now. The interview process starts again, then the training starts again. So it's a lot of managing. So you got to manage your own emotions of, oh my God, I just spent a week training. And then managing your own emotions and then also conveying to the team, like, no, we got this, we definitely can do it, and we will be in Vietnam. Just give us time.
Yeah.
So, but along the journey, there's so many ups and downs. Any businesses, there's ups and downs. It's all about having the right attitude, energy, and spirit, and problem solving is always the best skill that anyone can bring to the table.
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, what would be the greatest skill that you look for and you nail it by saying problem solving skills, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've met someone in a very large IP firm in Middle East. They have 300 staff, or maybe 500 by now. And the CEO used to be their IT manager, not even a lawyer. And we talked about this.
Yeah.
He was just problem solving, and a lot of things are streamlined with IT softwares and processes, right? Systems and processes. And he just climbed his way up because he got the problem solving skills, people management skills.
Yeah.
Very interesting how that one skill actually is so encompassing.
Exactly. Rather than just following the, with law, you have to follow a certain guideline, right?
Yeah.
But to have a team member that is able to solve issues that is going on in that particular country, or also, with the cases, I think that's an asset to have, for
Yeah,
staff.
definitely.
Yeah. Just
All right. So now that we're talking about legacy in motion, right? And what do you think, or what do you believe next generation leaders should bring to the table, right? And what is it that maybe the previous generation has not prioritized that the current or the next generations should prioritize?
Both generations, the previous generations has great things going for their generation. Definitely baby boomers, Generation X had very great work ethics. Awesome good work ethics, were long-term, were very visionary, will stick through the hard parts of a job to get to the good parts, to build that career. I think that's great things that we can take from the older generation. What the older generation were missing, I think all our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents were missing were the fact that we were always doing. We were not being. We were trying to put food on the day, we're trying to put food on the table, most of them were immigrants in many countries, so trying to take their family life to another level, right? They wanted to give us the life that we now have, and in that process, they did not have time for themselves, for their passion, their hobbies, and their health. A lot of them had suffered from bad health as well. So I think what the current generation brings to the table, which is nice, a nice value to have, is there's a lot of talk about work-life balance, work-life integration. And that is very, very important. The pandemic also brought that out in a lot of people when they started to slow down, be with families, smell the roses. I think life is about both, about working hard, but also know when to slow down and when to give the time back to yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what the new generation brings.
Correct. Yeah. I'm just relating to what I have gone through personally. In the past week or two, and I think slowing down, taking a step back, and as you call it, smell the roses. That's really good advice. Geetha,
having said that, if I can interrupt you, Dr. Lee.
It's okay.
It's so easy to dish out this advice because I'm second generation.
Right.
It's I feel so privileged to be sitting here and having this conversation about work-life balance, but we can't even ask the older generation to, you should have thought about life, because we would not be where we are now if not for them. If they were smelling the roses, we would not be smelling the roses.
Yeah, exactly. They always have their fingers pricked by the thorns all the time.
Yeah.
So, Geetha, you mentioned about the next generation having to also make sure that they work with integrity and things like that. Maybe you can share a story where you have gone through a period, a scenario where your values were tested. And how you navigate around it, what kind of challenges you face, and how you solve that particular issue.
I feel one of the values I talked about is communication.
Right.
My father had very peaceful demeanor, and it was very interesting to watch him in action. Actually, in one meeting with a client, the client was very upset. And no fault at ours, because sometimes we're always dealing with government officers in various countries, not just in Malaysia, because intellectual property is such where we help the client protect the intellectual property right, but that's lodged with the IP office. Right. Then the IP office will have a process of examining either a trademark, patent, copyright, and then approving. That process can be quite long sometimes, and the delay is because they have backlog of work or they don't hire enough staff and so on. It was a meeting where a client was very frustrated, very angry, and he stormed out of the office, but having shouted vulgar words at my father. And everyone could hear. It was an open working space, and we all just looked. Everyone was looking at my dad to see how he would react. And the way he handled it with so much of elegance and so much of professionalism, so peaceful, that it was embarrassing to the client to have uttered that vulgar words. And that was an interesting experience of values. It's because then you show the next generation of leaders, how do you handle a difficult situation?
Yes.
So that was a learning point for me, and I've always remembered that. Because with problem solving, we talked about problem solving. Sometimes with problem solving, if the problem is so obvious that it should be solved in a specific manner, we can lose our temper, we can lose our frustration, especially if you have many things on your table.
Yeah.
And that is always a reminder to us that no matter what, you do not need to lose your cool to solve a problem. And that teaches your team to not lose their cool to solve a problem. Because with values, it cascades.
Right.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
So when they see that in the way that you've handled it, and they handle it the same way.
Yes.
So I've learned from that, and my personal experience would be we had a very important conference last year. International trademark community was coming to Singapore, and because it's in our terrain, Singapore is one of the countries that we practice in, we had to have a reception. And we invited many people, about 200 people to the reception. We also had a hospitality suite. We had various events going on in Singapore, and we had a team planning it. My marketing manager had a situation where our country manager from Thailand could not join us for health reasons. And she was meant to bring along souvenirs, and and who will handle her meetings while she's here. It was very close to the conference. Oh no, in 2 weeks we have this crisis. And I always remember that conversation because she was stressed and there was a lot of anxiety. And the only thing I could do was to act calmly because people vibrate on our energy.
Yes.
So it was on a perspective of, all right, who else can replace her? Even though inside I was, oh no. I was actually, inside I was mimicking her emotions.
Right. Yeah.
But on the outside, I had to have a different emotion so that calm her down to go into problem solving mode. You know, when we're panicked and we have anxiety, the problem solving skills don't surface up. We're not very analytical, we're not very rational.
Yes.
Because that kind of like shadows behind this kind of emotions.
Right.
So I still remember me battling those emotions, what was inside and what was outside. So it was an interesting situation to be in.
Just one more to add, Jess, because Jess has joined me for some of our workshops. We BinaPavo conducts a program on emotional leadership, right? So one of which is self-regulation, and at the same time, of course, leading with empathy, but listening to what you're saying, you have such great control of your self-regulation, making sure that you take a step back and, make sure that you don't, what you call that, the Malay word is pantul.
You don't transfer the
reflect,
energy.
Mirror
that energy, So I think that is one of the greatest things that one should have in emotional intelligence. So
I think no one is born with it. I think emotional intelligence, and Daniel Goleman talks about it in his book, no one is born with it. In fact, our limbic immediate response is to react. We don't respond, right? Yeah. And honestly, it might sound like I have it all together, but it took time. It took 20 years of that. And,
practicing it.
And yet I am still working on it at home.
Yes.
I have three young children. And it's so funny because I try to, whatever leadership skill I learned over the years, I try to bring it back home. So when they get angry with the siblings fighting, I'm like, are you reacting? Or are you responding?
Right.
So they kind of know, okay, react or respond. But it's so funny because when I lose my temper with the kids, Mommy, are you reacting or are you responding? And it's like, oh.
The kids are, yes. I can see them doing that.
Okay, just go ahead.
Right. Okay. For family businesses seeking to future-proof their legacy, what role does IP play, and how early can these family businesses start thinking about this?
Family businesses are usually very, very many years in existence. So intellectual property actually really helps to build a fence around a business, whether it's family business or not. And by building a fence, maybe I can explain a bit of intellectual property. Sure. With patents, you protect technology. So any businesses where they have a new technology, a way something functions, is protected by patent rights. So usually the first right, if it's a technology business, it's through patents, and patents have a 20-year lifespan. But you see, with family businesses, they last longer than 20 years. So you might have a technology that's unique and you can have a market share and no one else can produce that technology. After 20 years, it becomes a part of public domain. Any competitor can use that technology without being sued. And that's how patent law works. The reason and the rationale behind that is that community is always innovating.
Yes.
If one company or one party can own infinite rights to a technology, no one invents beyond that technology. So the rationale is it ends in 20 years, so you constantly need to come up with improvements and you can own the improvements to that technology. And that's why we are where we are today with improved mics, improved camera, improved handphones. So with family businesses and legacies, it spans 50 years, 100 years. Then you're looking at brands. You're looking at Coca-Cola's, McDonald's of the world. A lot of German companies are family-owned businesses. The brand then carries on. And with trademarks, there's a brand, it lasts for life if you keep renewing it every 10 years. So I would say that people start out with technology, and if they improve it, then they get more patents. But otherwise, you stick with the trademark that carries on.
Right.
Yeah. So intellectual property rights basically helps that family business get stronger in the market space and keeps competitors at bay.
So it is important for family businesses to look into intellectual property at any point of time.
In fact, if I can give an example, I know one family business, very interesting. The parents started with selling rubber sheets, and I think to industrial rubber sheets to companies. And then 2 sons came to the family business, and kind of like my Haagen-Dazs story, where you're very itchy to like, is this it? Is this what I'm going to do? I want to do more. The second generation started creating car mats from rubber sheets because parents are doing B2B, business to business, and they started doing B2C with a different brand, different outlet, different marketing, different team. And it was very interesting to see that. And you can see how intellectual property plays. It might have intellectual property in the way machines were producing the rubber sheets for businesses. They came with trademarks for the rubber mats and now do various accessories because your target market is consumers with cars, with vehicles. So they now sell all type of gadgets under that brand. And so there's various types of intellectual property as they innovate the business.
Okay. I guess, we were just talking about, how in Malaysia we hear a lot about IP, but the awareness is getting better. But I think a lot needs to be understood about it. I think in terms of generally, people think that IP is the brand, you have to make sure that you have an IP on the brand and things like that. But you mentioned the machines that actually produces or manufactures the product needs to be also IP'd.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the one object in front of you, spectacles, for example. Some spectacles, when you sit on them, they won't break because they just have that material. Those definitely have patents on them. The first person that comes up with it. You'll be surprised. Even paperclip has a patent on it. Because it's a metal that's folded in a specific way and holds papers together. So it has a function behind it. Cans, when you open fizzy drinks, that pop, that also has been patented. Post-it note has been patented because the sticker on the adhesive of the post-it note, it sticks enough, but when you take it out, it doesn't leave a mark. So it's a glue that is not so strong. And that was the creation, there was an accident, but that's been patented. So there's a misconception that it needs to be a genius invention before you can protect it by patents. That's one misconception. Another misconception is that it's very, very expensive. In terms of trademarks, in terms of patents and technology, the cost really outweighs the benefits, advantages, the benefits that it brings, because it's 20 years of protection. For trademark, it's for life if you renew, right? So that's the other misconception. But as you say, Dr. Lay, things are changing in Malaysia. Since I started 20 years ago, and what I see now, it's a lot more awareness that, number one, being unique and creating your own work keeps you different from competitors. So we see a lot of companies creating, inventing, innovating, which is great to see. The other thing is there's a lot of awareness of protection as well. We get a lot of interest to protect either your trademarks or your patents. They do know that if I protect, I stay in business for longer and I can get stronger.
Okay. So let's do one more question. Okay. What does legacy mean to you personally and professionally? And how do you hope to shape the future of KASS?
Thank you. That's a hard question. Legacy, personally, to me, I would say is leaving an impact. Initially when I started this interview, I was talking about I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to do medicine, and I think, like I said, doctors never question their purpose in life. You don't go doctors having a midlife I mean, they might have midlife crisis, but they don't have a career crisis. Like, am I doing the right career? Because it's so fulfilling to always be helping people. So when I started IP, and there's always in me feeling that I need to do more charity, I need to get involved in community, but being a working mom, a single mom at one point, raising 3 kids and running the business and growing the business, where in that space do you come and do community work? And I had friends that say, Geetha, it's not the right time yet. At a later stage in your life, then you can do community work. And for me, it's helping underprivileged kids get access to education and giving talks to poorer schools and giving them painting the picture that we know, in the rural schools, they don't have that ambition or they don't have that opportunity to see. So that's always been my passion. And I always struggled with, when will I do that? And I feel that's a legacy I want to leave. So coming back to the question, I feel that I can serve my legacy through KASS. When once I had an entrepreneur who, really close friend, and she's really good at what she does. She's an IT specialist, and she was sent she was working in Motorola. She was sent by Malaysian government overseas because she was very intelligent. She went to Stanford for business studies, and she runs her own software development company. And her name is Aiza. Aiza was telling me that my mom tells that I can earn like 3 times what I'm earning now if I went and worked with this company, Microsoft, Cisco, and all these big brand companies, right? Why are you struggling as an entrepreneur and having 6 or 10 staff and building this software development company? And her reply to her mom was that, yes, I can earn 3 times what I earn, but here I'm feeding 10 families. And that cascades. Oh, that was one of the best lines, because we have 85 people in KASS now. And that line was, no way that my team's charity. My team's amazing and they're not charity at all, but the rationale that you are empowering all these people, all these team members with going back to their families, and also the culture and values. The culture and values are very important. We learn so much from culture and values that you bring to the organization that they then also take back to their families. So I feel my vision is to one day have 300 people in KASS, and the reason behind that is that, number one, ASEAN is a huge market for businesses to thrive, and right now it's an emerging market as well. So it will grow. It will be great to see ASEAN being competitive in relation to Western countries. Really hope that our countries and our region grows and thrives. And with that, I would like the team to thrive as well, and the 300 people to have the values and the culture and the learning that we give, and the awesome leadership that I think they will also take back. And I brought back so much as a leader to my kids. My kids hear all my crazy leadership stories, and I think when the team has that, naturally you take that back to your families. So it's a cascading effect as well. So that's a legacy I hope to leave.
Okay, I have one statement and one question to ask and make. You mentioned about your friend Aiza, and I think I know her, that feeding, the 10 families of, in your case, the 85 people, and that reminds me about our guest in episode 2, Puan Firdaus Husamuddin. I think she and her father also always talks about making sure that when they do something, they do the best that they could, because it's not so much about them, it's about, they have about 1,000 staff, so it's about the 1,000 homes that needs to be fed, right? So each one of the team members or the employees, they have to take care of the employees, and that's why they are working very hard and making sure that their family legacy also continues together with all these 1,000 families that is on board with them. So I think when you were talking about that, it just reminded me of our guest in episode 2,
with Puan Firdaus.
She is the group chairman of Karangkraf, the media advertising company. So my other question is so you've got 3 kids. I know you didn't plan to join your father, even doing law, you wanted to do medicine and you did law. Research have shown that, the power of matriarch in planning the children's education for the purpose of the business legacy. Your eldest is 13, in about 5 years, he'll be going to the university. So have you, have any of that plan in mind? Are you talking to the children, or the children wants to, be a lawyer and join the company? Or they can be accountants, to manage the finances. Any thoughts?
It's interesting in any business, right? When you think of exiting, it's going to be 3 things, if I'm not mistaken. First is if you have children, you might pass it on to the second or third or multi-generation if they want that opportunity. Or you sell the business and that you exit. Or you have a management buyout where the awesome leaders who have that passion to take ownership of the company, you can have a management buyout. Actually, there's 4. So there's those 3. And then the 4th one is you take an IPO, go public listed and exit. A lot of people think about a generation, usually because it's probably the easiest, and also you feel that you've enjoyed your profession that much. So yes, I would like either one of them to take over, only because I enjoyed the profession. I love what I do. Meeting clients. In intellectual property law, you always meet excited entrepreneurs because there's a new business idea. They've maybe left employment. They've now going to start something new. It's always, I vibe with that kind of energy. So I've always loved, I always compare with another friend who does divorce law, family law. I'm like, it's a different environment, right? So I love what I do. And part of what I do, we wear multiple hats, because I wear a lawyer's hat, learning the law, being very good at that area of law. And then you wear the hat of being an entrepreneur, handling HR, learning communication skills, leadership skills, marketing skills, business development, networking. So there's a multitude of skills there. So you wear 2 hats, which is I found very interesting and very fun. And then you have this other hat that you wear, which is, I feel, I travel quite a lot for work, because intellectual property, the way it is very jurisdictional. Meaning if an American company or an Australian or German company enters into our territory, they actually have to protect their IP rights in each country. So a lot of intellectual property that's protected comes from foreign countries. How do they know who to use? How do they know which lawyer to trust? It's usually through meeting you, and that relationship is built through foreign conferences, foreign business visits. So I travel quite a bit and had that opportunity to meet different personalities and different lawyers and have different experiences. So there's 3 areas of the profession that I really like, and I feel that if any one of them wanted to pursue it because of that, then it would be quite nice. Having said that, the leadership team is very important as well. So having them rise in their careers and having the opportunity for the management buyout is also there, because you feel that that's where ownership comes in, right? So kind of balance between those 2. It would be nice if one of them takes, but it's going to be up to them.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Geetha Kandiah and Dr. Lee.
Thank you so much. And this is Legacy in Motion.
Thank you for watching.